Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to This Week in WoW for the week of September 26th. As always, we'll get started with the Mythic Plus affixes for this week. This week we have Tyrannical, Storming, and Raging. Again, that's Tyrannical, Storming, and Raging. Again, a bit of an easier week after they seem to have all the bad weeks really hooked up together, and then you have some easy weeks after that. But so Tyrannical obviously is Tyrannical, but it's with Storming and Raging, which don't really combine with that in any real way, meaningful way. Nothing that makes Tyrannical necessarily worse. Raging, you just kind of deal with, and Storming is just kind of, again, you just kind of deal with that. It's not something that completely changes your gameplay 100%. Obviously, Raging mobs, it's more of a difficulty in a lower level key, like a 16 or whatever, if your tank isn't ready for it or, your group isn't ready for it. But obviously with high level keys, it's going to be less of a deal because people are going to be ready for it and have tools to deal with it and make it pretty much a non-issue. So overall, good push week, probably a good week for regular keys too, but you do watch out for the Raging, of course, in any, low level pug key or any pug key in general, maybe. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in game this week. This week, of course, we still have Brewfest continuing throughout this week. I did a video about some of the updated things to Brewfest. Basically, not a ton updated there, just a couple new quests in Valdrakken. In that video, I do mention, because there is a, in the inn in Valdrakken, there's a chest that gives you 10 coins, or Brewfest coins, or whatever. And I mentioned in that video that I wasn't sure if there's any more in any other inns, and in fact there are. All of the Valdrakken inns, not all of them, all of the Dragonflight inns, again, it's not all of them, but it's like 3 per zone or something like that, will have a thing on the table, looks like this, right here on this counter, and you can actually get an achievement for doing that as well. It's 10 tokens per if you're looking to get items pretty easily. I have been queuing for Core and Dire Brew pretty aggressively on all my characters, but I have not got the new dragon riding mount skin or whatever from Core and Dire Brew. And also to back up that, the thing is fixed and you do only need to be level 60 to queue and have a chance to get the dragon riding mount. So we still have Brewfest going on. The Harvest Festival, we should still have that going on, I believe. Yep, Harvest Festival still going on. If you want to do that, it's just like a mini holiday. Not a ton of stuff there. Really interesting thing is the Turbulent timeways are back. So this is time walking, and it's kind of like normal time walking, except for you get all kinds of bonus stuff during this Turbulent timeways thing. The most notable thing for me is on my alts, it becomes very worth doing them because you get like a piece of heroic raid loot for doing the weekly quest. At least you did before. So you do 5 time walking dungeons and you get a piece of heroic raid loot, which can be very lucrative if you are, first of all, a casual player who doesn't normally have access to that type of loot, or if you are someone like me who has a bunch of alts but you don't have time to play them at any kind of meaningful level. It can be very nice to grab a nice piece of loot that's also upgradable by doing this on Turbulent timeways. I believe you also get extra experience, extra everything while the Turbulent timeways is going on, so that is relevant. The time walking week is actually Cataclysm time walking, so we have time walking with Turbulent timeways, very advantageous there. We also have the Darkmoon Fair coming up at the very end of the week. Of course, Darkmoon Fair should be getting updated at some point. I believe it wasn't the thing, but I think it might be next patch where that happens. But Darkmoon Fair, you can go get your profession knowledge. You can go grab extra XP there as well. So if you combine the Turbulent timeways with a Darkmoon Fair buff, you're going to be talking about an absolute monster amount of experience there. And you can take part in that if you want. Other than that's quite a few things going on this week. Obviously, more PTR stuff going on this week as well. More testing, more everything for 10.2. We still do not have a 10.2 date, but as I've said on this channel, that I do believe it's going to be somewhere around the 14th. It could be the 7th. It could be the 14th. It very much shocked me if I'm not correct at this point, only because they usually do announce it. Sometimes they have announced it only 2 weeks ahead of time, but they do normally announce it usually maybe a month ahead of time. And so at this point, if it's a month ahead of time, that would really put it bumping up with BlizzCon. I don't know. Who knows for sure? Maybe they don't care about that. But I still have no other reason not to predict the 14th, and then maybe the 7th at the earliest is my actual prediction there. So still no news on that. Have been on the PTR a little bit, testing some things out. Not a ton of stuff for me to test as a Rep Paladin, just because there's not a ton of stuff changing, unfortunately. I kind of wish there was. One, because it's fun to theory craft and make videos, and it was fun testing out different talents and trying to make different things work. But as of right now, it doesn't seem to be very many changes for Retribution Paladin on the PTR. And I don't really like getting into too big of like story spoilers on the PTR and stuff like that. Kind of like to, as far as the quest lines and stuff go, just kind of play those as they come on live. So the only real testing I would do on PTR is like end game stuff. And for Rep Paladin, there unfortunately has not been too much stuff to do. Could always go into like a normal raid test or something though, and just try out the bosses and see what they are. But again, on normal, I'm not really going to learn too much there. As someone who normally does a mythic raiding, normal raid is not going to really teach me too much there to learn, and not much to report back on there. So yeah, other than that, just, you know, we have to CE already, so kind of just chill playing. Most of my WoW time right now has been literally going on to my ults and trying to do this Core and Dire Brew thing. It takes a while to go through all my 60 plus characters and do that, but I've been trying to do that every day if I have time. And then I've also been trying to farm old items. I did a video about this. You know, I typically do videos about things that I'm actually doing and enjoy doing, and going back to old Azeroth and farming items that they re-added in the game in 10.1.7. I've gotten a couple cool items, but they haven't sold. And as I said in that video, I believe, if they get too low in price, I will just learn even really rare items for the transmog. But yeah, I've been doing that as well. So that's what I've been doing. And on retail WoW, I have been still playing a little bit of hardcore classic as well. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Basically being very casual and kind of WoW nerdy, just doing things that I enjoy doing in the game. And definitely looking forward to the new patch and news of the new patch and the date and everything like that to talk about it as well. So that's it for this week. Lots of stuff to do if you're into the, you know, more minutia stuff in the game. Lots of stuff to do this week. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Other than that, everybody, have a good one.